Hey Jonathan, I figured I'd send you a video message because I didn't really have the time to type everything out, and I wanted to be more articulate because I can edit this, and yeah, I can't really make complete sentences when typing, so my friends tell me. So with that said, let's get into the questions, shall we? I think I got into art at a very young age because I had an aptitude to draw things the way they looked. And that was encouraged by the people around me and just kind of flourished, and I became known as the art guy. And when you're known as something, you tend to follow it, or it becomes an identity. And so my identity, ever since I can really remember, was the artist. And it's just kind of cascaded from there, and I kept doing these things, these little projects that ended up being big projects. I'll show you that thing later. But yeah, I got it. I've always kind of been into art, a natural talent for replicating things, and then I guess it cascaded into something more conceptual as I grew up and my abilities grew up. What got you interested in books and why are they so powerful? Good question. What got me into using books was probably because I was around them all the time. My father owns 8,000 science fiction books. He's a collector, built a library onto the house. And being around that all the time filtered into my work. I'm assuming, you know, who knows, I'm not a psychologist. I think also what got me into books, or what was so powerful about them, was how they're systems. Writing in general is a system. How you have the verb, the noun, the adjectives, adverbs, all these things. And I always found it really interesting how we create sentences, how we create paragraphs. I mean, and it's always been a mystery to me, hence the not really typing, not really, but I don't know if I can explain it to the extent. I find the structure behind writing words, how a person can tell a story through these symbols, really fascinating. Really, really fascinating. What got me interested in combining both art and books together? Because I hadn't read a lot in high school, during Cornish I was going back and visiting a lot of the books that we should have been reading, such as Animal Farm, 1984, Catcher in the Rye, things like that, classics. And reading these and being around them, kind of soaking up this history, I decided that I was going to marry that with my art. Because I guess with most artists, art is an appropriation of what's around them. They take them themselves and they spew it out into objects, things, you know? And that's probably why I started doing it. 2 or 3 years after initially using books in my art making process, I started combining not just what was in the book, the story of the book. I stepped away from actually making reference to the literature, to the story, and started referencing more how one book relates to another, like when I was talking about the structuralism behind literature. I was interested in how the concept behind one book, let's just say a book like this, The Pageant of Nature, and you can combine that with something, with a book like this, Boys and Girls Learning About Alcohol. Initially, they have no relation to each other, but if you put these two things together, the mind starts filling in the gaps. Like an optical illusion. I mean, what I'm saying or what I'm trying to start talking about isn't there. I guess I would need another book to complete the form of the thought. Something like... Okay, this book was done in the 1968, so kind of the sexual revolution. And maybe incorporate an image like this, model with average-sized breasts and dark areolae, and the diagram of the breast over here. Just with Pageant of Nature and Boys and Girls Learning About Alcohol, maybe I could put a birthing canal on here too somewhere. How about that? So that's kind of how things are. That's kind of how I start creating things with my books. And what is a book to you? A cultural artifact, a source of knowledge, something else? Books are definitely sources of knowledge, and they're also artifacts, and they're also just a whole bunch of pieces of paper with little markings on them. So, and that kind of brings me to the other question that you have just down the way. What do you say to people who don't like seeing books marred in any way, even if it means turning them into a different type of art? I just say, I try not to talk about how I'm going to cut up books when people ask, wow, why do you have so many different kinds of books when I'm in the half-price bookstores? Because I feel like they won't want to sell them to me, but I don't know. Books are just a commodity, like anything else. They're to be destroyed and or reused. I try not to get the last printing of a book and rip it up. Like, I'd never, you know, books aren't sacred to me. I don't feel like I'm burning books. In fact, I feel like I might be glorifying them to an extent. Yeah, definitely. What inspires me? I would have to say what inspires me. What inspires me? Structures. Structures. Systems and structures inspire me. And that could be anything behind how one thought is connected to another thought, or that could be something as simple as our weather patterns. You know? Repetition of things, movements. What are you working on now or about to work on in regards to book and or art? Right now, I'm not working on book art right now, actually. I'm working off of ecosystems right now, creating environments where you get a food chain, you also see, not necessarily things growing, but, well, it's behind me, it's what's been behind me the whole time. By food chain, I mean, I've got this dinosaur and these little dolls. And these little dolls are actually eating these plastic crystals that are growing out of the environment right here. Got all these moving pieces here and there. You probably can't make out this right here. Let's call that. It's all little moving pieces in the background. There's another little baby doll. So that's where I'm at right now in my project. So maybe you'll see that when it's done. Okay. Alright, bye. Thanks for watching. I hope this works out for you. Alright, bye.